How much longer will the Lane Kiffin saga drag out? And exactly how much impact will it have on the Florida Gators?
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Crossover of Locked On the Portal and Locked On Gators. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making both Locked On Gators and Locked On the Portal a part of your day each and every day right here on the nation's #1 sports podcasting network, Locked On. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets with a first bet winner. Head over to FanDuel.com and download the app. We're going to be talking about everything with the Gators and how it's being impacted by Lane Kiffin, recruiting, the roster, transfer portal, players possibly leaving or not based on the timing. And of course, is there any kind of percentage we can put on Kiffin ending up in Gainesville? To figure out everything in the Lane Kiffin saga and everything that's seemingly never ending, I guess. I mean, that's the definition of saga if I've ever heard it. Brandon Olsen, Locked On Gators. Brandon, thank you for joining me here. First question for you. Obviously, with the Kiffin stuff, it's nonstop. But are you tired of it yet? Are you just ready to jump off the local bridge, if you will? Like, yeah, that's what I thought too.
I would, but it's only like 20 feet up. That's just gonna hurt, not do what it needs to do. So not gonna jump off the local bridge there. But I will say that I'm ready for this to be over. Honestly, no matter which direction it goes, I'm just ready for this to be over. I'm getting whiplash at this point. But yeah, I think that Florida's trending up here. I do. Like, I know that, and I know everybody's gonna tell you that for their school, right? Florida fans gonna tell you that, LSU fans gonna tell you that. I think that it's trending up for Florida right now, and I've spoken to people from Florida side, LSU side, Ole Miss's side. I've spoken to people not attached to any school. They're just, agents or other national people, whatever that may be. And the thing that I always come back to, and I've said this 1,000 times now, is if both sides feel good about it, no one truly knows what's going to happen. And like some side is right? Like if he goes with LSU, LSU's right. If he goes with Florida, Florida's right. Both sides right now think they're right, and both sides feel like they're right. And so one side, you're going to look like you made a great move, and you hired maybe the biggest ego in college football, and the other side, you're going to look like an idiot. Like it's just as simple. You're going to look like a completely oblivious person. And I will tell you this, for the Florida Gators under Scott Strickland, I have felt you're the oblivious one plenty of times. And so like I would like to not, but the amount of times that I go, oh yeah, like Florida feels good about this, we feel good about this, and it doesn't happen is a lot. Part of what gives me a little bit more, I'll say, hope here is that, maybe it's not exactly Scott Strickland doing everything. They got the coaching, the search firm this time around in turnkey. And so, maybe this time around when you go, all right, like they feel good about this, maybe it's, I will also say, I haven't done they feel good about this where it's backfired in probably a year, which does tell me they're either getting better or we're due.
There it is. There it is. You said it.
Tells me.
You said it. Yeah, I've heard LSU most recently, but like, I don't think it matters with Lane Kiffin because that's very much, even if that was accurate at that point, he's not signed. So it doesn't make any difference.
At all. Yep.
All right. When it comes to Kiffin with the players and the roster, do you think it's going to help or do you think it's going to hurt the roster? Because like some of them know him. Obviously, everyone knows his name. But how do you feel about retaining players because Kiffin is a big name?
I think it would help a lot. First off, getting a big name, even a recognizable name, even if they don't know, the details about him or what he's known for or what he's about. You hear the name and you hear this is the guy that they've targeted from the moment that they fired Billy Napier. And you go, all right, well, they're getting their guy. Like they're getting their guy in this instance. And I think that holds a lot of value to know that they're actually getting their number one target. I think that there are people who know who Lane Kiffin is. There are people who, like a lot of these kids, honestly, with the, we'll say 18, 19, 20-year-olds, for most of their life, Ole Miss has not been a good football program. But I think that they'll recognize, hey, we have the guy that has them kind of kicking ass right now for the past 6 years. I think that adds a lot to it. I think having a guy like Lane who's an offensive mind, and that's what he's known for, I think that helps a lot. Because if you're an offensive player and they go, hey, by the way, this guy had a first-round quarterback last year. He's had multiple NFL receivers on the roster at the same time. They've all been productive, and he's shown that he could have 3 or 4 guys all eat at once. I think having that is a big plus for this team. And then on the flip side, you know, if you're a defensive player, you like to have the safety blanket that is an incredibly talented offense and an incredibly productive offense. And Lane gives you that. He'll give you some head scratching moments. He'll give you some frustration there, but he's going to give you a talented offense, and you know you're going to get that every time.
Well, he is a guy that's just incredibly talented with receivers and quarterbacks. So that area, I think, would be, if they don't keep those guys, something would be wrong. That would be my guess. But then again, I mean, maybe somebody wants greener pastures, maybe like Lagway, maybe not. I don't know, because he doesn't fit Lane's offense quite as much. I mean, he could run, but at this point, I think he's going to try to avoid injury. I'm just going to go out on a limb on that. But it would be a very, very big addition, let's just say, if they added Kiffin. So last question on the basis of him coming, any chance at all you think that would help salvage the recruiting class? Like if it happened this next weekend, that's before signing day, blah, blah, blah. Do you think that would matter much? I have my doubts, and I follow recruiting closely, but like picking recruits as hard as you can get anyway. How much is it going to help at UF if he goes to Gainesville? What do you think?
I will say that I think it'll help, because when I look at it, you know, this is a 2026 recruiting class that at the time of recording this, still no decommits.
That is wild, by the way.
Without a head coach.
Right.
Without a head coach for a month, still no decommits. And I think that's, you know, that's incredibly impressive. I don't think it'll stay that way. I do think that you'll see a couple kids leave, but I don't think that changes just because of Lane, right? Like I think there are some kids who are still going to go, hey, whoever's going to pay me more is where I'll go. That's fine. Or there's kids that are going to say, hey, you know, I had a relationship with Billy and this staff. I don't have that anymore. These guys aren't going to be around. So I'm going to leave and go to the next best place. Like, there's going to be those guys that leave. But for the most part, like, this class is going to stay together. I believe. Like, it's been a month and they've stayed together with no head coach. If it's Lane, I have a hard time believing that someone's going to go, you know what? I was down to play for Billy Napier, but now Lane Kiffin, I can't do it. If that's something that a recruit says, something tells me you weren't going to get into the University of Florida anyway. Like if that's how your brain works, something tells me you're not going to get into UF anyway. And so I think that, you know, Lane helps everything. I think that, you know, you drop from Lane, maybe a different conversation. But for Lane coming, like that's your best bet to retain as much of your roster as possible and as much of your recruiting class as possible.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I mean, there's no guarantee, but like his name's got to mean something. I mean, I would surmise. But what if it's not Lane Kiffin? What if it's somebody else? We're going to talk about what the possibilities might be. How does that work? Timing. There's still a lot to talk about on this crossover, Locked On Gators and Locked On the Portal. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of a basketball game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. For me, as a Pacers fan, I don't know if that's a good idea for me per se, but there is something that eventually does have to happen. The NBA is like a league where everybody kind of does the same thing for the most part. But then you have the Pacers. They have not won a road game yet. The only team in the NBA. At some point, somebody's going to win big with the bet on the Pacers, just winning straight up on the road. It keeps every game exciting with FanDuel, especially when your team's making a late push. Maybe the Pacers win a game at the buzzer on the road. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet is a winner. Head to FanDuel.com, sign up, and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right. Once again, thank you very much to Brandon Olsen for joining me here on the show today, talking a little Gators and what is, I guess, we're probably going to have to get used to this yearly now because there's just not enough good coaching candidates. Let's just start with that.
Good.
And Kiffin or not, you still have to have other people on your list. Unbeknownst to some people talking about coaching searches for other schools. Well, that's a side note for Brandon and I, an inside joke. But
Who's who?
Who could that be?
Who could that be?
But if it's not Kiffin, if you do your search right, you have to have 5-6 guys vetted in some capacity, plus assistants, all that, because fit matters. You know, I like Gainesville. It's a nice town, but like, you know, it's not for everybody. You got to do all those things. Eli Drinkwitz. Anybody else after him? Like, I've heard different things. I've heard Brent Key. I've heard Drinkwitz, maybe not. Like, what? Give me something. Like, who would number 2 be? I'm not sure because it depends on who I speak with, what answer I come up with there. What do you got?
I will say I don't think number 2 is Eli Drinkwitz at this point. I think earlier in the process, absolutely.
Okay.
But I think at this point, no, we had, I think it was On 3 reported that basically the fan base was very publicly anti Eli Drinkwitz.
Really?
Yeah. And so no. That seems to be what it came down to, was the fan base was really loud about not wanting him. And so that they have to listen to that. Which is fair. I mean, especially I feel like the past few weeks have not been awesome for Missouri. And that's not exactly the best time to start losing games in ugly fashion. So there's that.
They cannot score.
Yep. And when you're an offensive guy that can't score, well, we would have just kept Billy if that was the point, right? Like that's not what we're trying to do here. So I think Drink's out. Brent Key, there's a little cluster of coaches that Brent Key, Jeff Brohm. I know people keep mentioning Kenny Dillingham, and I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I don't think Kenny Dillingham's leaving Arizona State. Like, dude, like cries in like post-game interviews on the field because it's just, he's passionate about the program. It's his alma mater. Like, I don't think he's leaving. Like, I'm sorry. That kind of passion is a big selling point for people too. Like, they go, oh, he cares so much. It's like, he cares about Arizona State. You don't know he's going to give a damn about Florida. Like, you don't, like, I know I see LSU fans talk about him, and it's like, you don't know he's going to give a damn about that school either. Like, it's not the same. You can't fake that kind of passion. But I include him in the Brent Key, Jeff Brohm. I think they're great coaches, but they're at their alma mater, and that might not be an easy place to leave for them. Especially Brent Key, maybe playoff push right now. Jeff Brom's not, especially after the SMU loss. But I think that they're both great coaches. I think Brent Key, part of his is that he would have to nail coordinator hires again. And like Buster Faulkner's not coming with you. I'm sorry. That dude is getting either another
G6 or something, right? That's what
I think he'll either go to Georgia.
Could be
the head coach at Georgia Tech, or go to a G6. But because don't forget, he's got the Georgia ties. He was there before Georgia Tech.
Right.
I'm not saying this is going to happen or that I'm predicting it's going to happen, but like I've heard people I've spoken to say, hey, Mike Bobo might be calling it after this year. And so if he does, that OC job is wide open for you right there for Buster Faulkner. Jeff Brohm, again, first off, I don't care what anyone says about what happened, against SMU with Jeff Brohm. The dude won at Purdue. All right. I don't give a damn what anyone says about it.
That's hard.
Yeah. So I think winning at Purdue is big there. John Summerall's a name people are going to mention a lot. I don't think it happens. I think he's Auburn or Ole Miss. The two schools that have very publicly been tied to him, shockingly, I think are probably where he's going to wind up. And Lincoln Riley's a name that gets brought up all the time, and one that I am incredibly skeptical of because I don't like him. Yeah, I don't like him. I don't think he's a great coach. I'm tired of this whole like, just get Lincoln with a good DC. He's got a good DC right now. I like D'Anton Lynn. He's got a good DC right now. Guess what? They're still not winning enough. Like he's got that. And also part of the reason that he spent so much of his career with people going, just get him a good DC, is because he's screwed it up consistently. He had Alex Grinch on his staff for like 8 years, and that alone should get you written right off. So Lincoln, like I think he's a great offensive mind. I think a lot of people look at Lincoln and go, Lane Kiffin. Like they just see, a high flying offense, ton of points. A guy that for a lot of his career has not had a good defense, and that tends to bite you when you face an elite team. I'd be really skeptical of Lincoln. I think he's got the name value. I do. I think he's got the name value. I will also say this. I don't view him as an SEC guy. I really don't. Like you're.
I don't think he's a fit. No, Lincoln,
no.
I don't either.
I don't think Lincoln's fit for that grind, fit for that mentality. Like, I don't know. I think West Coast is a good spot for you, or if a Texas job opens up.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, I could see him at one of those schools, Baylor, Texas Tech, or something like that one day. Very possible.
If Baylor ever fires Dave Aranda, they just every year they just go, we're going to give him one more year.
Oh, dear God. That's a whole nother story within itself. On that note, speaking of another year, what do you think if, let's say it's Kiffin or whichever coach you want to insert, which position or positions does that new coach need to bring in? Because I think the roster is pretty good, but what would make it a team that could at least go 9-3 in year one? We're going to talk about that next right here on this crossover, Locked On the Portal and Locked On Gators. All right, this is a very important scenario here. I could be way off because they could lose more guys to the portal than even you think. And I know you're an optimist with Florida, but if they don't get hammered in the portal, big if, what position do they got to hit next year going into 26 to at least give them an outside chance to make the playoff year one, which is really hard to do. I'm openly admitting that. But like 8-4, 9-3, if we do this, we're 8-4, 9-3. Everything, you hit the inside straight, you get to 10-2, then you got a chance at the playoff. What do they got to do?
You got to hammer the offensive line. That's just, and that's the worst thing to say because every team wants to do that, and I get it. I think we're both on board with like offensive line.
Yep. You're losing Jake, you're losing Barber, and who else?
Losing Jake Slaughter, center, losing left tackle Austin Barber, losing right guard Damian George, which that one I'm fine with. Your right tackle it's been two players, and neither of them have been great in Caden Jones and Bryce Lovett. And your left guard's been Najee Harris, who's been serviceable. He's had some pretty yikes moments about him. But that's like you're replacing left tackle and center, and those are, I think most people are going to tell you, two of the most important spots in the offensive line. And you're losing them, and that's just frankly not a good spot to be in. Devin Manuel, who's been a backup for a couple of years, is redshirt senior. You got a few backups that are redshirt seniors, and so they're going to be gone. It's not exactly a great spot to be in for saying, hey, the thing that was supposed to be our strength, first off, ended up not being our strength this year, and secondly, it's going to be worse next year. So I think offensive line is what you got to do. You need it to compete in the SEC. Simple.
Yeah, it's hard to find them, and you're going to have to overpay for them. So if you overpay for like 3 offensive linemen in the portal, what do you got left for like DB, which I know they need help with? They're going to lose Devin Moore after this year. He's their best DB. Guessing if 1 or 2 of those DBs didn't come back, you wouldn't necessarily be all that upset with it. There's one in particular I'll leave out on that. And is Cormani okay? He got banged up in the game the other day, right? He's out?
Yeah. No clue, and we're not going to find out till game day probably. Just with this not being an SEC game, Florida has no hold, like no hold to go, oh yeah, we have to put out this availability report. I know that they've asked Billy Gonzalez about it, and he's just like, oh yeah, we got the update next. So you're not going to get much information there, but we'll see. I hope he's all right. Got hurt pretty early in that game too. It was only like 20 plays in. So I hope he's all right. He's had his, fair share of ups and downs this year, but I do feel like the progress there has been really promising from what we've seen so far. But yeah, DB is going to be a spot, specifically safety. You're going to need to go in and get somebody. It's just, it's been terrible this year. Just safety play has just been terrible. There's no other way to put it. It's been awful. And I hate it because especially with Bryce Thornton, I like Bryce Thornton, but even he's had mix-ups. And I will say that this may be unfair of me. I'm going to put at least a little bit of the blame on the safety coach that 2 years ago was coaching running backs. Just going to throw that one out there. The guy who, through his 7 years of coaching, has 2 of them on the defensive side, and this year's one of them. Yeah, I'm gonna blame that guy a little bit for it.
That's absolutely understandable. On that note, the roster right now, as it's constructed, any particular position you're like, they're just good. This, you just linear, just high school recruiting, we're good. Running back, I would assume Jaden Ball's a sophomore, so you got him for another year. I mean, he's an NFL player. But tight end probably needs some help. Receivers pretty good, but you can always use more receivers.
Yep.
Where else? Linebacker? What's your thought on backer?
Linebacker is really good. Which we'll see what really happens with inside linebacker. Because you've got now Pup Howard basically didn't play this year. He's been still banged up with an ankle injury from last year, so he's been trying to go with that. Jaden Robinson, draft eligible this year now, and he's had some great reps. So there's that. But it's that's the crazy thing about recruiting is, we look at Miles Graham and we go, oh, he's so young. He's going to be so good. And it's all right, well, he can leave after next year for the NFL draft if he wants to. That's what happens when you recruit tremendous football players is you get them for 3 years and then they're gone. And that's a very realistic possibility. So linebacker, you're going to have to hit at least high school recruiting probably to just get some more bodies. And I think the defensive line is really good. I think looking at the youth that you've had show up is at least promising. You're going to lose Caleb Banks. You're going to lose quite a few guys, but Brendan Bett, outside of some just incredibly boneheaded plays he's made, he's been really good. But I mean, he spat on someone and got the weirdest roughing the passer call I've ever seen against Tennessee.
He just never spit on somebody.
Yes,
Come
yes.
on, man. It's ridiculous.
Yep. Well, is that not part of the rules? I'm
not going to comment on that.
Yeah. I thought we had to do that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Come on.
But you've got Mekhi Boyroe, I think, is when he was healthy this year, great nose tackle, at least for a sophomore in the SEC. I'll give you credit for that one. You've got Joseph Mbachu as a true freshman, Jeremiah McLeod as a true freshman. Both looked really promising. So I think you look at some of the youth there and you go, all right, it's at least promising group. And including the edge, Jaden Woods has just been a dog this year. And
he's a freshman, so that's a really important guy for them to keep. If they don't, that's how 8-4 or 9-3 goes out the window quickly. You don't have pass rushers. We both know how that goes in Southeastern Conference.
Yep. And so I think for Florida, you got 6 guys who have at least 2 years of eligibility on the defensive line that have all played. I didn't name anybody that hasn't touched the field this year, or has barely touched the field this year. Jalen Wiggins, who knows what he's going to be, but he saw a little bit of playing time against Tennessee. But who knows what he's going to be long term. So I think there's some guys that you haven't seen yet, but the fact that you've got 6 guys that you could say, hey, we've seen them play and they've got a couple years of eligibility left, I think it's really promising.
Yeah, I would agree. Brandon, I'll let you out on this one. With all the stuff that's going on with Kiffin, just want to throw one out there. If he doesn't come, do you think Florida would play the long game and just be like, you know what? We have to, since we didn't get number 1, we will go after whoever, and you and I'm not even sure who number 2 is. Do you think they would let it play out more?
I think they want to get that hire done if it's not
okay.
Lane. I think I think they're going to go, we can't spend 7 weeks on a coaching hire right now, which is kind of where they're at. If they don't get Lane and you take a couple more weeks, you're going to be at 7 weeks on this thing. And you're going to miss signing day. I don't think they're in a position to be able to go if we don't get him, then we'll start looking at other candidates, which I will say kudos to you, LSU, national media, giving you the praise that you deserve because you've definitely not talked to any other candidates or looked at any other candidates. That's why Lane's the favorite. Thanks, Pete Thamel. You really nailed that one. Just good job. They've definitely not looked at anybody else. Nailed it. Crushed it. Good job. Florida, I don't know. Good thing they've been covering their ass.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Brandon, tell everybody where they can find your work, my friend.
Locked On Gators every single day, including after these awful football games that I've been forced to watch against my will by Zach Blackerby and the Locked On Podcast Network.
That's hilarious.
But we'll be good again at some point. That's all that matters. When? Who the hell knows? But we'll be good again at some point.
Fair enough. You can find the Portal Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Podbean, and of course on YouTube. This has been a crossover Locked On Gators and Locked On the Portal.